right, folks, welcome back to another Millennial in Debt money chat, money talk, money video. This week is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be talking about the worst career advice that you have ever received. So before we jump into the video, don't forget to subscribe below if you are not subscribed and hit that notification bell so you can be notified when I upload a video every single week. All right, so what we're going to be talking about, like I mentioned, is poor, terrible, awful career advice that you have received. I posted an Instagram question in my stories where I asked you, my followers, my amazing Instagram followers, to let me know what is it that you have received really terrible, bad information in order to cultivate this video and bring it to you. So if you are not following on Instagram, you also want to follow. That's where I share my best sense of humor on my day-to-day with teaching and blogging and YouTubing and all that good stuff. So follow, hit that link below. It is at Millennial in Debt. So let's get right into it, shall we? So the first response we have from Miss Tiffany Marie on Insta. Hey boo, hey, how you doing, girl? The worst career advice that she has ever received is taking all of your vacation days shows that you are not committed. If you haven't seen one of the most recent posts I posted on Instagram where it said, take your PTO, beloved, because this job does not give a explicitive about you. Taking off from work does not show that you are not committed. Taking off from work is really good for self-care, self-health, making sure that your energy is right so you can go and do this job in the best possible way that you can. Working yourself to the ground, not sleeping, being stressed is not positive career advice for any body. So no, that is terrible advice. The next response we have is from Drooly Baby. The worst advice that they received was stay where you are, be thankful you have a job. Excuse? No. These jobs can replace this at any time, and you can find another job at any time. If you are unhappy, if you feel that you have no room for growth, if you don't like what you are doing, you need to find another job, and you shouldn't stay where you are for security. Granted, bills don't pay, and that doesn't mean you just jump ship, especially if you don't have an emergency savings account to help keep you afloat while you find another job. I've always been a firm believer in finding your next job before you leave your current job, but you should never, ever, ever, ever stay at a job where you are unhappy or just feel not productive or feel unappreciated, because we spend a really large percentage of our lives working, and you don't want to look back when you're 60 or 70 or 80 years old and look at that percentage of your life and say, wow, what a waste, or wow, I was so unhappy. Life is too short. Just get another job. Like that's it. The next worst piece of career advice we have is from PJLSM 2019. I'm like really butchering these names. I need the company more than the company needs me. Deal with it or leave. Along the same lines as the last one, leave. Walk out the door. Not until you have another job, because you don't want to be homeless or evicted from your home. But any company that will talk to a worker like that really doesn't deserve you in the first place, because the company needs you. They cannot function without you, the workers. If that was the case, they would be doing so, right? They would hire robots or whatever it is, artificial intelligence, to get the job done. But since that is not the case, don't ever let your boss or these companies let you think that you need them more than they need you. It is a very mutual 50-50 exchange when you're working. The next person, Monica Bundy, says, fake it till you make it. I mean, it really depends. It's not the best advice for sure, but it's also not the worst advice I've heard. Sometimes you just got to do things till you can get to the next level or the next step. But that doesn't mean you fake it forever in hopes of making it, right? You have to kind of set a time limit on what you're willing to put up with and how long you're willing to put up with it. I think that might be better advice. The Rachel Monique states, stay at a particular company and retire even though I was unhappy. I don't know who's giving y'all advice to just live your lives unhappily collecting a paycheck and living paycheck to paycheck, but we need to reevaluate our friends, because one of my close friends who makes a lot of money at her job, she hates it, and she told me that in the next 4 weeks she's quitting. And at first I was like, no, stay there. You're doing all these things that require a lot of money, and you have all these plans in the future that require a lot of money. And she's just like, nah, I'm out. And then you know what I said? I'll buy you a cake on your last day and we'll celebrate, because that's a decision she wants to make. And clearly she has a path that she wants to take. And who am I to say, no, sis, stay in that terrible job? Mental health is far too important, and we always find a way. We do. The next piece of advice comes from Jamie Donay. Hey, girl. That's my boo. She received advice stating, stick it out. There's a difference between growing pains and misery. There is a difference between growing pains and misery. I do 100% agree that sometimes you do have to grow through things in order to get to the other side and really appreciate what it is that you were going through. And there is no progress without struggle and all those nice cliche things that we hear in therapy, or that I hear in therapy. But at a certain point in time, you will figure out what is the difference between growing pains and misery. And if you're miserable at a job, do not confuse it with growing pains and struggle and thinking that you could just work and work and work hard and you'll get through to the other side and really enjoy what it is that you're doing. No one knows yourself better than you know yourself. And if you've been at a job unhappy for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, all of this time, and you've been trying and trying and trying, you're miserable. It's not growing pains. You figured out how to do the job. You're doing it pretty well. You just don't enjoy it. You don't like it. It's not really fulfilling the desires that you have within for your work, your place of employment. So definitely figure out the difference between growing pains and misery. Give yourself some time to figure out the difference between growing pains and misery, but don't let anyone tell you that it's just temporary struggle, because speaking for myself, I'm not going through growing pains. I'm miserable in a lot of things, and I know. So it's like, make the change. Don't let anyone tell you that you have to struggle in order to just figure out how to be happy at work. That's not true. And the last piece of advice comes from King _Cordero, who states that his worst career advice was to join the military. When I worked in a Title I school in New York City, that was a big push for a lot of the students who they felt wouldn't succeed academically or wouldn't achieve any success in school or going on to college. And I felt that it was a real big cop-out while I worked at that school, because we lacked the resources and the funds and the things needed to help them achieve success academically. And I felt that the military was a huge push on them. Like, we don't really know what to do with you, so join the army. So I don't give that advice to any of my students. I don't give that advice to anybody. If it's the calling or something that you want to do, I do think that the military can be for you. I do think that college and education, formal education, isn't for everybody, but I don't think pushing the military on every single person that's not good in school is the right way or the right thing to do. So if I missed any, which I'm sure I missed a whole bunch, leave the worst career advice that you have ever received in the comments below, or you can leave it for me on Instagram in our feed, and I'm out. Bye.